What's up guys, my name is Ace, and this year with Modern Warfare 3, for the first time, we get to choose the path at which we unlock our class items, or at least many of our class items through the Armory Unlock system, which I have explained fully in a previous video. If you guys want to check out exactly how this works, I will of course leave a link to that in the description down below. You definitely want to know how this system works before we get into this video. But like I said, with this Armory Unlock system, you get to decide the path at which you unlock various items. And there are a lot of items to choose from, and this can be a little confusing for some players out there. So in today's video, I wanted to share my list for the things that I prioritized while going through these Armory Unlocks, because I feel these items are most important, and you want to make sure you're doing things as efficiently as possible as well. Now, of course, just to be clear, people's preferences will vary here. Your playstyle might be totally different, so you rely on different things compared to me. And obviously, it's totally fine if you go a different route. However, for many of these items, I think these are like must-haves, and you should absolutely get them unlocked at least reasonably early on. And diving right in, the first thing I want to point out here is don't waste your time trying to unlock guns and equipment through the Armory Unlock system. This is a complete waste of those Armory Unlock tokens because you can get these extremely easily in the Zombies mode. All you have to do is find that gun or piece of equipment in Zombies and then extract with it while it's on your person and not in your rucksack, and you've got it. It's unlocked forever for you in multiplayer. And that will save you a ton of time because you would otherwise need to complete like 3 to 5 daily challenges just to unlock that one item, and you could potentially unlock multiple of these items within like a 10-minute period in Zombies. Now, obviously, if there's a gun that you're having a really hard time finding in Zombies and you just really want that gun, of course, just use your Armory Unlocks and get that gun unlocked. But I'd recommend at least checking out the Zombies mode first because in many cases, it's something you can find very easily and just extract with it. So with that in mind, the most important tab we want to focus on first with our Armory Unlocks is definitely going to be the perks, because perks just have such a massive impact on how you approach and play the game, as well as your ability to counter certain things in games. And if you're missing out on that key perk that you need in a given situation, that's pretty rough. So for me, the number one item I immediately prioritized the moment I gained access to Armory Unlocks was the Covert Sneakers. This is essentially just Dead Silence from previous Call of Duty games, the perk, not the field upgrade. And it's incredibly useful in this game, especially if you tend to play in the higher skilled lobbies where everybody's got a really good headset and they know how to use it. So for me, that is absolutely number one to prioritize. Number two is the Ghost perk. This is something where I'm not going to use the Ghost perk like all the time, but it is nice to know that you've got it. And it is great to be able to have a stealth build should the situation arise where stealth is necessary. And especially early on in the life cycle, people don't have all their kill streaks unlocked, and people are still trying to get a feel for the game, and therefore UAV spam is off the charts. Almost everybody is running UAV at this stage, so having the ability to stay off that radar is a very valuable tool, and therefore you definitely want to get Ghost unlocked as early as possible. And then finally, for what I consider to be like absolute must-have perks that you should prioritize with the Armory Unlocks, this is the Hijacked IFF Strobe, which is effectively cold-blooded from previous Call of Duty games. And this is going to protect you from aerial kill streaks, as well as any sort of targeting systems like sentry guns, things like that, and also thermal sights. And this is just one of those things where you obviously want that ability to counter that, and everybody should have an anti-air class ready to go, and it's nice to not have to rely on the default one, so you could have your own anti-air class that's really designed heavily just for taking down enemy streaks. Now, unfortunately, if you guys watched my video yesterday, this perk is currently broken. If you try to equip it on a class and then try to spawn in, it will actually spawn you in with a different class entirely that doesn't even include the perk. So I'm aware of that, but this will obviously be fixed at some point in the near future. So I still think it is very important to prioritize this as an unlock so that you at least have the ability to counter enemy streaks when required. So in my opinion, at least, those are the 3 most valuable items in the Armory Unlock system that I think you should be prioritizing immediately. Now, on top of that, I'm going to share a list of a bunch of other items that I'm personally prioritizing, but I'll admit these ones are much more subjective than the first 3 that I shared. For some of these items, you might not have any interest in using them at all, and that's totally fine. But the next thing I prioritized here is the Advanced UAV. If you're capable of earning Advanced UAVs, at least on a reasonably regular basis, this is a very powerful streak in the game. It's going to help you and your team a lot. And I, for one, am not a big fan of like controlling streaks. I'd rather get the kills with my gun, and this streak obviously helps a ton with getting kills with your gun. Next, a streak that was really popular in not only the original Modern Warfare 2, but also the most recent Modern Warfare 2 we just played. This is the VTOL. This is a very popular streak. It's reasonably easy to earn, and it tends to yield a nice number of kills throughout a match. So this is another streak that I prioritize with my Armory Unlocks. Next, we're going to be moving back into the perk category. Something that's very important if you're sniping are the marksman gloves. And these are the gloves that reduce how much you flinch when you're shot. Now with the base guns in the game, I haven't done my full flinch testing, but with some basic tests so far, the flinch isn't too bad. So if you're using like an assault rifle or SMG, the marksman gloves may be a nice little bonus, but they're not necessary by any means. However, if you're trying to snipe or if you're using marksman rifles as well, this is where these marksman gloves really shine for cutting down that flinch. And it really makes a big difference for those. So if you have any plans of sniping anytime in the near future, make sure you get those marksman gloves unlocked first. After that, let's talk a little bit about field upgrades. And for me at least, one of the most valuable field upgrades that's in this tab for the Armory Unlocks is going to be the trophy system. This time around, now that vests are involved especially, there tends to be a lot of equipment spam. It really depends on what vests your enemies end up using, but in the case of some of these vests, they're going to give you either like double the lethals or double the tacticals, and in the game's current state as well, the EOD perk is not working as it would normally work, where it clamps damage, and therefore you can die to a single frag grenade, even when using the counter perk. So especially if you play objective game modes like Hardpoint or maybe even Domination, it's definitely nice to have the trophy system available as an option to use, because it can shut down a lot of those pieces of equipment that would otherwise get you killed. After that, let's bounce back into the kill streak tab, and this is where I'm going to put the gunship. Now, not everybody is capable of earning gunships on a consistent basis. Maybe that's just out of your typical reach for a kill streak, and that's fine. But if you are capable of earning these, just remember, we're playing on the original Modern Warfare 2 maps, and these maps have a tendency to be very friendly to aerial streaks. And as a result, I would rather prioritize these really powerful aerial streaks over the more ground-based ones, like the Juggernaut, for instance. That's not going to be nearly as good on most of these Modern Warfare 2 maps as something like a gunship. So if you ever get a map like Wasteland that pops up and you're good at getting higher streaks, it's nice to have that gunship available. And with that, that's actually going to wrap it up for the top 8 items that I recommend prioritizing. Again, some of this is going to come down to preference, but for the most part, you would be in good shape if you focus on unlocking these items first, and then you can focus on whatever else. And of course, if there's something that you really like that I didn't mention on this list, even if it's a weapon or a piece of equipment, then by all means, just go for it. At the end of the day, this is your unlock path, so choose the path you want to go in. This video is mainly just designed to point you in the right direction, especially for those players that are just really confused and maybe overwhelmed by this system. And with that, this is where I want to hear from you guys in those comments down below. For those of you guys that have gone through Armory Unlocks already, what were the top 3 or top 5 items that you prioritized and unlocked first? And second, do you feel there's any items that I didn't mention in today's video on my list that you feel are also very important to be unlocking early on? Just let me know down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.